In this lesson, we're going to look further at the harmonics, so and how the harmonic structure or chord progression is going to work for this piece. Now, one of the things I like to do is blanket out all of the chords. So just basically put down all the chords into the sequence so you can hear how they sound. Now, in order to develop this later on, I will come back to this and I will kind of mix out and chop some of these chords out, because I don't really want the string pads playing all the way through, or I don't want them playing at particularly this volume, or maybe the arrangement of how I've got them orchestrated isn't quite right. So I will come back and change this, but for a really good starting mission, it's fantastic to have all the chords laid out in time to the tempo so that I can see exactly how this is going to work. Now, once again, we're coming back to our little mood board here, or our kind of note-taking pad, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to show you that I've done a few more things since the last time. So last time I just had this verse part put down, and I'd kind of worked out that I wanted to play in A minor. And that was fine. A minor is a really good key for me and most people, because it is all the white notes on a keyboard. So even if you're not a very good keyboard player, you can pretty much work out all the chords that you need. So A minor and C major are fantastic. The reason I went for minor in particular is because of the mood of the piece, this kind of struggle, this freedom aspect. Now, one thing I wanted to do is take that from the minor to the major. This is a fantastic technique, and I could have just gone straight for the relative major, which is C major, of course, but I wanted to do a little modulation. And this would show the examiners that you know a little bit about chord progressions and how they all fit together. Now, the modulation I've gone for here is I've modulated it to G. And what you'll find with modulations is it's this uplifting thing. You see it in a lot of 80s rock pop or whatever, where they're really building up these big thematic kind of big movements where they really want you to kind of feel emotional about it, and they use modulation to get there. Okay, so modulation's a fantastic technique for kind of going, wow, look at this is really inspiring, this is really great. So the way in which you can do modulation, there's a few ways of doing this, is you find the root of your key, and then you find the fifth of your key. So if it was a major key, you'd go C, then you'd find the fifth. So you go C, D, E, F, G. So G is the fifth. And from the G, you can then take it into that key. Okay, and it goes fairly smoothly. So what's the fifth of G? So if you go G, A, B, C, D. So then if you went C, G, D, it would work. So if you were in C major, A minor, that would obviously be D minor. But because you're modulating, it's now D major. And the actual modulation, it just works. And from there, you can actually use a few other chords from G to kind of contrast. Now, the good thing about going to G is it's really quite close to C and A minor. So the other part of that modulation was this E minor, which is also part of A major. So it's not a massive jump. It's a fairly simple modulation, to be fair. But just to show you can do it, and actually it can sound quite nice. Now, I've done that modulation in two places. I've done it in this bridge and I've done it in this chorus. Now, you can see the chords that I'm using, and I've just mapped them all out here just so that later on I can kind of say, okay, I'm using that chord in this particular bar, so I better make sure these notes fit with it. And I'll always be quite meticulous about making sure the notes fit. And you can get more complex. You can start using sevenths or 13ths or 9s or added chords or whatever if you want to make it a bit more interesting. But it's always nice to know where the root of that particular bar sits. Okay, so that's what I've mapped out here. And every time I change, I will come in here and have a change. It's like this break section. I haven't really worked out what I'm doing here. I was going to have it sustained on C for a little bit and then move away back into the verse. So maybe I might just leave it on C. I might develop that. The current arrangement isn't completely sequenced, right? The actual notes that I'm using, the orchestration that I'm using, don't flow particularly well at the moment. But once again, I was just mapping this out. So I just wanted to kind of show you the development, because one thing my students always kind of happens is they get disheartened. They will hear their piece like what I've got here with just 2 tracks, and they go, oh, so this is rubbish, I'm just going to go and do something else now. And actually, it's really important to see things when they're at their earlier stages, to know even people with a lot of experience have to start from something that's normally quite naff, actually. So, and they build up from there. So that's why I've kind of done it at this point rather than when I've done all my production. So you can actually see, actually, that's not 100% the way it should be yet. So here it is, and I'll take it from the verse. This is what we had last time. Then I'll move into the strings. I've also put down the piano chords as well. So I've just mapped out just the basic chords here as well. Once again, I probably will develop them, but have a listen, see what you think. Okay, so you can see it kind of works, but it's not pretty by any nature really, and it still needs a lot more work. But I've got my basic map now. I've got my basic map of how this structure is working, and from here I can do so much more because I understand how my piece is working now. So I can actually put down my melody now if I wanted to, or I could put down some more rhythm parts if I wanted to, or I could put down some more instruments. But basically, from what I've got here, because I know the tempo, because I know the key, because I know the time signature and all the chords, I'm now ready just to kind of really move forward. And in the next lesson, we're just going to look at a few rhythmic parts, okay? So we can start adding this and making it a bit more upbeat and up-tempo in certain sections, okay? So have a go at that. Get your map sorted, so get your harmonic sequence sorted, and I'll meet you in the next lesson.